Hi everybody, this is Zelda Lee, and I'm going to be talking to you today about 4 tips that you can use when searching for a graphic designer for any sort of project that you have. The importance of these 4 topics is to make sure you find the best person for you, because you're going to find a ton of different designers out there, either people that you've heard from word of mouth or even just someone that you found on the internet, but not every designer might be the best for you in your project. One of the first things that you should look at when looking for a designer for you in your projects is their portfolio. Usually a modern graphic designer is going to have an online portfolio. And what you want to look for in their online portfolio is a variety of different designs. Maybe they just specialize in something, but that's okay. But if they just specialize in one type of design, make sure that they have a variety of different styles. Because when you go to them and then they create what you want, you don't want it to look like everything else that they've made in the past. You want them to have a variety of techniques or a variety of styles or inspiration, because you want something that looks individual and represents you and doesn't look like everybody else's designs. Another thing that you should look for in a designer is professionalism. Professionalism in any field is super important. And I know with a lot of designers working offline and you really don't meet them in person a lot of the time unless they're a local company that you're working with. You just talk to them maybe on the phone, you send them emails or direct messages on social media. You need to make sure they're polite, but that also means that you need to be polite as well, because like any sort of business transaction, no one likes anyone being rude. But with professionalism, everyone needs to be polite. That should be pretty straightforward. But then also you want to make sure they're responsive in their communication as well. Sometimes you don't want to just choose the first person you find and see and you like one picture or one design that they've made. You want to make sure they communicate with you. They tell you exactly what you need to know, like prices, or they can give you quotes, or they're being honest about how they work or their deadlines. And then even if you do choose them, you want to make sure that they're communicating with you the entire time. If they say a project is going to take 3 months, maybe even 6 months if it's a very large project, you don't want to not hear from them the entire time. So kind of get to know them a little bit before you choose them, just because you want to make sure that they're exactly who you want. And they might be nice up front, but if they don't communicate very well, how are you going to work with them at all? Another thing that I know that I do that I find super important is being upfront with your clients, and I hope you guys would find this important, is that they are open about their design process. Sometimes people are very secretive about their design process, and I find that kind of sketchy, because if I was requesting a design from someone and they wouldn't tell me what's going on or what programs they're using or how they do it, or even if they do research or where they found their information when it comes to doing research on my company or my inspirations from the company, it seems kind of weird that they might hide anything from you, especially when you could and or are a paying client. For me, I always tell my clients up front, I have a multiple step process. I do research, I do basic sketches, and then I usually show my clients the sketches, because then it kind of gets my brainstorming out, but then it shows them where my mind is going. So then they kind of can see, oh, this, I like this direction, or oh, I actually like this better than what my original idea was. And then I'll go into a first draft, a second draft, and then we could do a final draft based on what the client likes and or just what they kind of came up afterwards, because I want to make sure in the end that they get what they want, and being upfront with how my process is and showing them my steps allows them to get the best results and me to create the best artwork or logos or marketing material, whatever it is. If it's just digital drawings or a logo, I want to make sure they get the best thing. And if anyone doesn't give you the information on what they're doing, they might be trying to hide something. I found a lot of people online that a lot of people pretend they're designers, and I don't want to say they're not designers, but there are a lot of resources that they can use that aren't resources that you couldn't use yourself. You don't want a designer to use an online generator for a logo when you could have done that yourself, and they could charge you way more than you would have if you did that website yourself. I don't have any exact names, but if you could do a free generator or even a low cost generator and they're charging you $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, that's pretty sketch. So if they don't tell you what their process is, I would be a little weary. And the last thing, and I feel like this would be a little bit obvious, but sometimes people don't always look into it when it comes to art or designs, is reviews. When anyone goes on Amazon or any other website for a product, they look at reviews. So why wouldn't you do that on a designer? Maybe they have some really good reviews, but maybe there's a couple bad reviews that might make a difference. Maybe they were delayed, or they didn't communicate, or maybe they just didn't finish the project and they got a bad review and they just kind of left someone hanging. So I feel like when you go shopping for anything, even a designer, reviews are really important. The only time when that might be a little difficult is when you use maybe a student designer or a new freelance designer or someone that just kind of does it as a hobby, because they might not be pushing for reviews. I know a lot of companies or a lot of freelance designers, they ask for reviews. If you had a good experience, please leave that, because then that allows future clients to see and to get a different opinion to draw in more business. So for established designers, I would hope they would at least have a couple reviews, because not everyone likes leaving reviews, but it really does help other people make decisions. So look for reviews. Easy peasy. Okay guys, that was 4 different things that you should look into when looking for a designer for yourself, even if it's just for digital drawings, logos, posters, or anything of the sort that involves a graphic designer. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, or if you're a designer and you have any additional tips, feel free to leave a comment as well. I would love to hear from anyone and what you guys think about these tips. If you think some of those aren't important, or if you think there are things that are more important, feel free to let me know. I would be so grateful for you to let me know what you think, because then we can all learn, and you guys can also educate other people about maybe your past experiences or what you would hope people would know, so we can make sure everyone around us gets the best designs possible. And before you guys go, feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have 2 other videos about artists and graphic designers. One of them is about tips on how to act as a client towards a graphic designer, because sometimes people get a little silly. And then another one is a bunch of tips on how to annoy artists and designers. I know sometimes that's kind of fun, but those are some tips on what to do and what not to do. Also, don't forget to subscribe to me here on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it, and you also can hit that notification bell as well. I am also on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at I am Zelda Lee, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.